Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is a land divided into 9 regions called holds. Each of these holds is lorded over by its own jarl, who rules their domain with a level of power somewhere between that of a king and a governor. Throughout our journey through the Elder Scrolls V, any completionist will eventually get to know and become familiar with all of these petty lords one way or another. But perhaps the most recognizable of Skyrim's jarls is Whiterun's Balgruuf the Greater. The first we meet in the main quest, and boasting a charming personality, Balgruuf is easily my favorite of the bunch, and he seems to get much love from the community as well. But behind his persona, there's much to know about the Master of Whiterun that he doesn't tell you, and some of which probably doesn't want you to find out either. So, sit back, kick your feet up by the fire, and relax, as we dissect 5 things you probably didn't know about Jarl Balgruuf the Greater. Starting off, with the man playing such an integral role in the game's main questline, plus an assortment of side quests, it's difficult to imagine what Skyrim would be like without Balgruuf. However, it seems Bethesda, at some point in the game's development, was planning on giving players the opportunity to experience just that. Indeed, the Jarl was supposed to die during what is now a cut portion of a quest. You see, Mephalla's Daedric quest, the Whispering Door, is a rather short one, and if it feels unfinished, that's because it was. The mission begins when a local innkeeper informs us that one of the Jarl's kids, Nelkir, has been misbehaving lately, and we're sent to investigate why. Speak with the child, and he'll reveal that he's been talking to, quote, the lady behind the door in the basement, that has been telling him to do all these bad things. After investigating the door in question, a voice, revealing itself to be Mephala, Daedric Prince of Secrets and Plots, will call out to us. After a short conversation, she'll ask that we open the door and take her sword that's lying in the room behind it. And that's it! That was the entirety of the quest summarized. No resolution to the kid's insanity, no real conflict, we just speak to a door and it's over. Alas, some unused audio files and scripts we can dig up indeed suggest the mission was going to be much longer and much darker in Bethesda's original draft. We were intended to watch as the kids acted up, and progressively went further and further in their evil actions, ultimately cultivating in them murdering Balgruuf in cold blood on Mephalla's orders. We don't know the full details of what would have happened after that, how the quest would conclude, or if the children would have been saved. But we are sure that after his death, the Jarl was to be replaced by his brother, Hrognar, who would assume his role in not just leading the city, but also all the other quests Balgruuf was involved in as well. So if you completed this quest very early and let Balgruuf die, it would be Hrognar who would lead Whiterun during its siege and help you capture Odahviing. Bethesda was so close to instituting this quest and all these options, that they even recorded much of Hrognar's dialogue that he would use after he assumed the position of Jarl. Take a listen to just some of it.
Hrongar became the Jarl when his brother Balgruuf, who had the job before him, was murdered.
I'm not a fool, Proventus. I mean, it's time to challenge Ulfric to face me as a man, or to declare his intentions.
I'm not a fool, Proventus. I mean, it's time to challenge Ulfric to face me as a man, or to declare his intentions.
This again. That was different. Was I given a chance to object to the terms of the treaty? No.
This again. That was different. Was Balgruuf given a chance to object? No. The Jarls weren't asked. He was told, and he had to like it.
Why Bethesda didn't go through with implementing this quest is anyone's guess. Though considering they got far enough to voicing the lines for it, I'd imagine it was mostly completed. But they decided the whole kids attacking their father thing wasn't very appropriate. Though no matter the reason, I'm sure Balgruuf is at least very happy Bethesda didn't go through with their plans. Next on our list, while on the topic of the dude getting assassinated is fresh in our minds, the person tasked with defending him from such threats most adamantly is his Housecarl Irileth. Like the man she protects, we get to know her quite well early in the game, as she plays a key role in and is present for our first dragon battle when Whiterun's western watchtower is attacked. Irileth is unique among the other Housecarls of Skyrim, as most are Nords, or at least of some race of men, and Irileth, well, she's an elf. This calls into question how a Dunmer was able to find themselves in such an odd position. Well, just ask, and she'll tell you that her and Balgruuf fought alongside each other in their younger days. though doesn't clarify how young they were when the two met. I digress. Irileth states that once Balgruuf assumed Whiterun's throne, due to their history, she demanded that he allow her to be his personal bodyguard in Housecarl. The man agreed, and the rest is history. However, she may not be telling us the full story here. Because in Skyrim's official game guide, which was written by Bethesda in conjunction with Prima, under her profile, it stated that Irileth was trained by the Morag Tong in her past. The Morag Tong are, of course, a secret society of assassins who operate in Morrowind. Think the exclusively Dark Elven version of the Dark Brotherhood. They played a notable role in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, and a smaller role as minor antagonists during a side quest line on Solstheim as a part of the Dragonborn DLC. Now, how Irileth went from the Morag Tong to fighting alongside the future Nordic Jarl of Whiterun is anybody's guess. It's again also left unspecified just how young she and the Jarl were when they first met. Information that would be quite useful here. Regardless, I guess that's just one more reason to avoid getting on Balgruuf and his Housecarl's bad side. Coming in at number 3, circling back to cut content, we've discussed before about how Skyrim Civil War was supposed to be a much larger and more in-depth affair than the one we ultimately got. Leftover assets, voice files, and scripts show that Bethesda had planned for siege battles at every major city. Much longer, more prolonged campaigns to capture each hold, involving the raiding of farms, a recruitment system, and so much more. Alas, a lack of time or resources unfortunately ensured such a complex questline was never realized, and instead the Civil War was scaled down quite dramatically. However, one battle in particular, the Siege of Whiterun, was trimmed especially hard. Players on both sides were going to be able to lose the battle if they didn't perform well. And if you were fighting with the Empire, defending the city, and lost the siege, a sequence would have been triggered, where yourself, Balgruuf, and a small company would have been forced to flee the city in disgrace, using the town's sewage system. Pretty disgusting. Now, while such a series of events never made it into the final game, something interesting is that during the battle for Whiterun we do get to play, Jarl Balgruuf will spawn in with the necklace of water breathing that we can pickpocket. This was almost certainly left over from the removed escape event. Perhaps he would have given it to you so you could better navigate the waterways. Or maybe he would have just used it on himself as you swam through the city's sewers. Whatever the case, I bet everyone's glad it never has to come to that. For 4th spot, we've already established the Jarl is a father to 3 wonderful, when they're not under the influence of a Daedric god, children. Nelkir, Dagny, and Frothar. Or is he the father to all 3 of them? You see, the youngest of his kids, Nelkir, is listed in Skyrim's files not as Balgruuf's son, but instead as his brother. Now, at first I'd assumed this was an oversight by Bethesda. Surely someone had to have pressed the wrong button or something. There's no way this was done on purpose, right? But in hindsight, this is a pretty big and frankly difficult mistake to make. Very few NPCs have been mislabeled in such a fashion, especially ones as important as a Jarl. And there's actually more to this whole dynamic than just some game files that may or may not have been misplaced. Remember that Whispering Door quest? Well, when we ask Nelkir what kinds of things Mephala has been telling him, within his answer, he'll say this.
That I don't have the same mother as my brother and sister.
If true, which there's no reason to believe it's not, Balgruuf must have either had an affair or underwent an adoption to get Nelkir. Assuming there wasn't a developer oversight regarding the boy's listing as Balgruuf's brother, the only possibility is that Balgruuf's parents had Nelkir very late into their lives and passed away shortly after his birth. And the Jarl just decided to raise him like a son. Though, if that wasn't the case, and Bethesda did make a mistake in assigning Nelkir as a brother rather than a son, then I find it much more likely that Balgruuf was just being a bit promiscuous. Some dialogue we can overhear between him and Irileth suggests he likes to sneak out and drink quite often, so some extramarital relations wouldn't be the most shocking behavior.
Balgruuf, did you slip out again last night for a drink at the Bannered Mare?
Heard about that, did you? Yes, I went out for a pint or two. What of it?
These secret visits to the tavern will make you an easy target for an enemy assassin. You should have told me first.
Damn it, woman, I'm the Jarl of Whiterun. I won't apologize for talking to my people.
Additionally, there's the question of whatever happened to Balgruuf's wife and the mother of his 2, or 3 kids. Did they separate? Did she pass away? There's just so many unanswered questions regarding Balgruuf's family tree that only he seems to know the answers to. And he's not talking. And finally, last on our list, the Jarl of Whiterun hates the Thalmor. No, he really hates the Thalmor. Within his quarters in Dragon's Reach, we can find a display case with an elven sword inside of it. An artifact Balgruuf almost certainly obtained after killing an Aldmeri agent during the Great War, and was evidently so proud to have done so that he made it into a trophy. Furthermore, there's a small chance that he'll appear as a guest at the Thalmor Embassy's party during the quest Diplomatic Immunity, where if you speak to him, he'll share some dialogue that clearly suggests he has no love for the elves.
I have no more taste for Thalmor wine than I do for Thalmor company.
On top of all of this, going back to that Whispering Door quest, Nilkir, when under the influence of Mafala, may say this about his father.
I know that he still worships Talos, that he hates the Thalmor almost as much as the Stormcloaks do.
Ironically enough, Balgruuf's passionate hatred of the Aldmeri Dominion only makes me like him a heck of a lot more, and adds just such an interesting degree of complexity to this character, and his decision to side with the Empire rather than the Stormcloaks. It seems Jarl B and Ulfric have a lot more in common than one might think. They just have very different ideas on how they're supposed to solve this Thalmor problem. And with that, we are going to wrap up. 5 secrets regarding everyone's favorite Jarl. Thanks for watching, everybody. Which of these facts or interesting revelations did you find to be the most notable? And what other characters are hiding things that I haven't explored? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.